There we go. What's going on, champions? Episode 8, I believe, of Uncommon Men, guys. We are making history. We are fired up. Listen, guys, all over the world, we want to wish you guys a happy Monday. Man, my name is Coach Clavon. I am so fired up and excited about tonight's episode of Uncommon Men. We are blazing the trail. Guys, if you're new to our channel, our podcast, please like the episode, share the episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share the post if you're on our Facebook outlets. Guys, we're having an amazing time showing men all over the world how to get into the top 1% as it pertains to their health and wellness, as it pertains to their financial power, as it pertains to personal growth and development. And guys, we're doing this as a community of males all over the world with mentorship and accountability. Hey guys, how about getting rich and giving back? What you're going to see tonight is what you've seen the last 7 or 8 episodes is uncommon men coming to the platform, sharing their secrets to success, dropping jewels. All you got to do is pick up what we're putting down and you're going to be empowered. 2024 should be the year of uncommon champions, and we want you to be one of them. So let's get the show started. I want to bring up a business partner and co-host, friend, mentor, giant of giants, the CEO of Be Epic and the co-founder of this huge Flex AI movement, my guy, Mr. Dan Putnam. Dan, what's going on, partner?
Man, just trying to stay warm like everybody else. Watching some of that Bills game earlier, and I saw yesterday where they're digging out like 4 or 5 feet of snow out of the stadium. So just kind of cold all over. But man, yeah, I'm excited. It's actually our 9th episode, Clavon. So we're moving forward. It's lucky number 9, and we have a great guest here this evening. And so, like you said, I just really like to point out that we really have one goal, and it's pretty basic. It's pretty simple, and that's just to help every male 16 and up really first find out who they are, what they're capable of, and help them along the way. And I found, Clavon, the key to success is really several things. One of them is mentorship. Finding somebody who's done what you're trying to do, and that's just simply because success leaves clues. If somebody has done what you're looking to do, I'm sure that they can help shorten that learning curve a lot for you. And we've been discussing a lot over the last couple months, just that, 2024, I'm still getting used to saying that, but it's an interesting thing. There really is no reason with technology and a global marketplace that it should take anybody more than a couple years to become wildly successful. And we see it all the time. And I think it's becoming more and more common. And we're just trying to help every single person that just kind of wants that helping hand and then maybe feels a little bit lost, bringing on these guests every week. And just like we've talked about, well, we've already seen it over the last 8 episodes. There's a lot of commonalities between all of these, ultra successful males. And I say it every week also. It's the same thing. If we did an interview of all the people that were unsuccessful, you're going to see a lot of things they have in common also. Success really is not something that's just an accident. There's sometimes there's timing, sometimes there's a little bit of luck involved, but I've always found the harder you work, the luckier you get. So let's go ahead and bring on our guest and see what we can find out here.
Hey guys, we have the honor tonight to join forces with a real uncommon gentleman. Robert is the co-founder of our Flex Technology. Guys, hope you'll hear about that later on tonight. Our AI superior global AI product. But for over 18 years, Robert has either been a distributor in the field, a president, a CMO, and I just know Robert to be a gentleman with a big old heart, someone who loves to make services, products that makes life easier. He has served hundreds of millions of customers and clients in our market, in our industry. So it's a pleasure to have you on here, Robert. How are you feeling, buddy?
Oh, I'm great, man. I'm excited to be here and be part of this amazing movement. You guys are doing something incredible, and I think it's going to make a big difference in the world. So super excited for what you all are doing. And just like Dan, trying to stay warm. It's cold.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Robert. We like to kind of get these started off by just Kind of giving a brief introduction. Who is Robert Sacco? Where did you grow up? What were things like when you're young in your house? What was your interests and kind of what got you into the business world and becoming self-employed and all of the things that you've done?
Yeah, well, I was really fortunate to grow up where my dad was an entrepreneur all the time. He worked for the railroad in Colorado, so I'm from Colorado, which I'm still sitting here freezing, but I've been gone for a long time. But I just was blessed because I got to see someone that's always moving and doing something. So my dad was that entrepreneur that found something he loved to do and then found a way to make money at it. So he loved cars, and so he would find a way to open up a car part store, or he would sell cars, or he would just find something that he enjoyed doing, and then all of a sudden there's a business. So he loved hunting, so then he got into guns and whatever. It's just like anything that he could find that he just loved to do, he'd find a way to make money doing that. I got to see that. I experienced it like when I was 9 and 10. I'd be down at my dad's store working, and then at age 14, I actually, my dad owned a swimming pool company, so I ran that company when I was 14. And then when I was 16, I played tennis, and so that was my thing. I loved to play tennis, and I just kind of did like what my dad did. That was my very first business. I owned a tennis company. I used to string tennis rackets and sell rackets and all that stuff, and I just loved it. I mean, I'm just a serial entrepreneur. I always have been that way. The worst employee you could probably find, but just love to go out and find businesses and challenges. And I don't know. One of the things that I find with entrepreneurs in general, they just love problem solving. That's like one of the things that they love to do. They find something that they just go to solve it. They don't look and say, well, how come this happened, or why did this happen to me? It was just like the next thing is, what do I do to fix it? And it's like a problem solving. And I just find that it's kind of the way that I am. That's kind of why I think I love being an entrepreneur. It's just, there's always challenges and there's always something there that kind of push me. And I love to do that.
Wow. That's super awesome. But Robert, I can relate. I grew up in a mom and pop business the same exact way, man. And my dad was a huge influence on me. It was in the health and wellness industry. And that's all he did every day was solve problems. I mean, to this day, I think he kind of owned a job, but it was still entrepreneurship. It was still inspiring, just as your dad was. And Robert, Dan's gonna kind of hit you with some real powerful questions that represent the uncommon movement. But I just wanted to jump out there and just ask you a question about success, because your dad being an inspiration and you talking about solving problems. We've had so many great leaders on this platform, and I've kind of seen, as I put together all their comments, success has so much to do with having a powerful goal, a dream that you're pursuing. And then also this idea of self-evaluation, solving your own problems, like what you see in the mirror, and just keeping yourself under self-accountability while you have a great goal. That's what I've heard a lot of. But what is success to you, Robert, as it pertains to entrepreneurship? Just want to ask what your overall definition is at this stage in your career.
Well, I think probably everybody has everyone does have a different definition for success, right? What it is to them or whatever. And for me, it's never been about money. Some people are just driven by money like that. That's what drives them to get up in the morning. They set their number and that's what they're going to try to go and achieve. And that's just never been the thing that motivates me. What motivates me usually is the challenge to set the next goal of what can I get to the next step? What's the next place out there? What's the next thing that we're challenging? And for me, it's never been a number. Now you want to put my wife on the table. It's all about the number, right? So there's just different drives for every different person. But for me, it's always about what's the next challenge? What's the next goal? And for me, for the last 5 years, is just what can I do to get things moving to fight this human trafficking that has become the biggest crime in the world. And so selfless is like my passion to do anything. It's something that it's driving me to be successful in everything that we're doing. And at the end of the day, when the days are hard, you just dig deep into what really makes what moves you. And for me, that's what's moving me right now. Earlier in my life, obviously, when I have little kids, I've got one 9-year-old left, but I got 3 that are out of the house already. So, at the very beginning, when I had kids, it was, yeah, I wanted to be successful and I wanted to have the business. I wanted to have stability and security and all that stuff. But those change over time, and those aren't necessarily the things that made it all happen for me. It's about finding something I'm super deep passionate about, and keeping it right in the forefront. And so passion, I guess, would be the thing. What are you passionate about at that point in time? Passions change, things come and go. But at the end of the day, that's what drives an entrepreneur, I think, is what are they passionate about?
Well, it's interesting you say that, Robert, because I remember we were talking a couple weeks ago, and one of the big things that they do in like network marketing, home-based business is they say, what's your why? And I always thought that was kind of dumb, well, because I want to make money. Why do you think? You know what I mean? It's like, why do people do anything for work? And the more I thought about it, and it literally was probably 2 years into it, when I was like going through all these times and thinking I'm going to quit because I wasn't having any success. And, why do I bother? This is just, I don't get it. And the most frustrating thing for me was I didn't feel anybody could show me something that worked, because I would be like, just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And then they'd tell me and I'd go do it. And it did. And I'd maybe get a little bit of a couple of people signed up, a couple products sold, and then it's done. And I'm still not really making money. And when I thought about it, I thought, you know what? I always want to work for passion and never a wage. And so there's just one night I was putting it down, and that became my why. And then I started doing kind of what they said to do, just put it on your mirror, put it in your pocket, put it in your car. And I was thinking about it all the time. And I do think that it kind of helped drive through, like, well, what am I going to do? If I don't make this work, I'm going to just, go get a teaching job or who knows what. I went to college mostly to play sports. And then I realized that, there's a lot of people that are very good, and it's not quite as easy as I thought it was going to be. And my parents also are entrepreneurs. My parents had furniture businesses. My dad also sold insurance. My uncle sold insurance. I'm the youngest of 5, so 2 older brothers and 2 older sisters. And my oldest brother was a seminar speaker when I was in college. And my other brother was working in the oil fields and created his own business. And my sisters were both in the furniture. Well, one was a nurse, and the other got in the furniture business also. And now my other sister is in the furniture business. So it's kind of been a family thing. So I wasn't really going to school that much to, get an education to go find a job. I could kind of go work in the family business, but I didn't want to work in a furniture store. I did that growing up, and even the good side of it isn't that exciting to me. And I've just been, super passionate about helping other people. And Robert, how long have we known each other? Maybe 2 years?
2 years. Yeah.
Just about 2 years, maybe a little bit less, but it's really interesting, Clavon. Probably about, maybe about, probably about 2 years ago, maybe not quite 2 years ago. So maybe a year and a half ago or something, when I started to see like ChatGPT come out and see some of these things. I was talking to some of my employees, and I was like, man, I think that somebody could dominate any industry that they wanted to with what AI is doing. And I was just talking about, there's maybe 4 main social medias, and then you throw a blog in there. So you have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Now, some people go deep into LinkedIn, some people go deep into Snapchat. So there's more. I'm just saying, those 4, and then a blog. And I was just telling people, what if you did, let's say you picked any product. I don't even know what this product is. It's just a bottle from a manufacturer. So let's just say this is your product right here from my desk. And you do a blog post on some of the ingredients in there every day. And then you do, some sort of a script for a TikTok video. You do a Facebook reel, an Instagram reel, and then a YouTube short. And then you use all the hashtags, find out what all the competitors are doing and stuff like that. And you just start doing that every single day. And those are all things that are, high ranking for SEO and Google. And I'm like, man, if you did that even for like 6 months or a year, you're going to be dominating the search engines and anything that you want to do. Yeah. So I actually hired somebody because I didn't necessarily have a ton of time to go through every single app and mess around with it and, clone my voice and do all these things. So I hired somebody just to work maybe about 20 to 30 hours a week, college student. And all we did every day is I would, be watching these TikTok videos and Instagram videos and see people talking about AI. And I'd say, hey, let's get this app and let's see what we can do. And so I'd been doing this for maybe about 5 or 6 months and not really to do anything to like to get into the AI business. It was just more, how could I use AI to teach all of our distributors how to literally just dominate? And I went out. I was partnered with Robert on a software company, and then also with this Selfless that we'll talk a little bit about. Again, one of our big things is get rich, give back. It's something that's super passionate about to me. And I never thought about human trafficking. There's a couple things that I just block from my mind and almost pretend like they don't exist, because I don't even want to think about them, that they're that horrible of a thing. And then Robert, when we first partnered on the software company, or actually even before that, Robert came out to Utah and spent a day or so. And, we were just kind of talking about a lot of commonalities. And he talked to me a lot about that Selfless. And it was something that I was like, man, somebody's got to do something. I'm all in. Whatever I can do to help, let's figure out how we can kick this thing off. But anyways, another time I flew out to Tulsa and meet with Robert and his wife. Just got to the hotel, took an Uber, and then we were meeting for dinner that night. And probably about 5 minutes into dinner, if that, Robert says, "So what are your thoughts on AI?" And it was just so crazy, because if there would have been every single person in my office that would have heard him say that, it's all I talk to them about every day. How can we implement AI into our business to literally dominate? And literally, I hired somebody for more than 6 months. So I probably paid for, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 apps to kind of test them out. And all of them were pretty good, but they were super singular. So meaning like this app does this one thing. And then there might be 4 or 5 other apps that do that one thing. And I'm trying to figure out, well, which one of those apps do it the best? And then for this other thing, it's these 10 apps, and this other thing, it's these apps, and this other thing, it's these apps. And so Robert was like, man, you're going to love what we've been putting together. And what was that, Robert? Page, the first one?
Yeah. So it was Page. Yeah. So we launched Page in, I want to say like April of 2023.
Yeah. So it's just an interesting thing. And since then, we've been working together pretty much on a daily basis. Don't always talk every day in person, but we're full into this. And if Robert said that he likes to overcome challenges, then he's got to be loving this AI business, because I've done a lot of things. I thought the nutrition industry was full of challenges with the manufacturers and this, that, and the other. And I knew that technology is difficult, and working with a whole bunch of programmers and things like that. And it's not even anything against programmers. I can't think of anything that I'd maybe like less than programming, because I've been in rooms where I just see they'll pull up the code and it just is tons of commas and colons and semicolons and words and this, that, and the other. And if there's like one missed comma, then the whole thing doesn't work out of maybe like
million words,
thousands of lines of code.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy, but we'll talk about the AI stuff here. Well, let's talk a little bit about it right now. What's your view on AI, and do you think it's anything that even just the average person that isn't in business for themselves, just like your 90 percentile of the world, where they are an employee, they work for somebody, they don't have their own business, I mean, is AI anything that they even need to be worried about or think about, or can it improve their life, or what's your thought on that?
No, I think every single person should be using AI right now, because it's going to be the way of life, and it just makes life easier. I like to tell people when we talk about Ruby, it works for everybody that I know. My 9-year-old uses it to help her with her homework. I use it to help her with her homework. Right? I mean, I have to learn new math. What was wrong with old math? It seemed fine. But then, you also look at my mom, who's, 75 years old, and she loves it. She gets all the cooking, and she goes through travel things and all these things that every single person in between definitely should be using this product. And if you're in a business or you're doing marketing or you're doing anything that's travel, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be using AI. And that was our whole goal, with Ruby, was to say, how do we get the masses to be able to use what we've been using for 3 or 4 years? How do we get them to use that without having any of this experience? How do we get them to not have to worry about being a prompt engineer, to know how to talk to AI, or to know what an LLM is or an NLP, or how do they go and find which are the best subscriptions out there to do what they're wanting to do? And so that was the goal of Ruby, is from day one, was let's take all the best things that AI offers. Let's put them into one platform that all works seamlessly together, where you don't have to have 75 different applications and 12 different subscriptions, and then figure out how to take all that together outside of and into a different program to marry them all together, and just make it easy and make it super affordable. And boy, I think we've done that with our product with AI. But AI in general is just, you've got to be getting into AI. And, Dan, you and I have that quote that we talk about every day from Gary Vee, that if you're not using AI every single day, whether you think you need it or not, you're going to get left behind. And it's not because AI is going to replace you. It's that the people who know how to use AI will. And that's just the way it is. I mean, that's the fact.
Well, I've been so deep for the last 30 years in the, building, network distributions all over the world and stuff like that. And I focus mostly on nutrition. And I just look at it as like, if somebody really knew how to use AI, there is no way I could compete with them as far as the content they can put out, being able to use some of the cool microservices and stuff like that that's out there with AI to build their audience, to retarget their audience, to the list just goes on and on. But what would you say is like the benefit? I've had some people ask me this. It's like, well, what's the difference between just like a Google search and a chat?
Yeah, I mean, I think Google search is to dig up something, right? You might find like who was the top in the NFL, this season or whatever. Yeah. When you start to talk to AI, though, I can go in and I can get all the information that's deep diving, like why were they there? How did they get there? I mean, anything that you can ever think of about everything that would be a part of that team and how they got to that point, I can go find out without having to go and do 75 different searches. I literally can ask one question. I can get it all. And then I
have the whole first page full of sponsored ads that may or may not have anything to do with it.
Exactly. Exactly. I'll tell you what I think AI does. If I could sum it all up and put it into like a simple one sentence, is that AI levels the playing field.
Oh boy. I say that every day. I'm like, this is like the ultimate thing to level the playing field, because now every single person can put out great data.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it takes away from skill set that people have, because I think if somebody already had like an incredible skill set for marketing and writing and things like that, they're still probably going to put out a little bit better product than somebody who's using AI alone and just, grabbing the AI and
100%
throwing out what it says. But if you look at the middle person that really doesn't even know what to write down, they just kind of have that writer's block from day one. This is something that all of them can get out professional quality data or content in seconds. I literally asked the person that I had working for me, I said, take our top 10 products and find the 5 benefits of each one of those products and the ingredients, and do a blog post on each one. And it ended up being something like 60, 70 different blog posts that he ended up doing. And that was all done in a half a day. Wow. It literally, like if I gave somebody that assignment, that could maybe be more than a month.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so,
when we
hey, Robert, let me ask you a question.
Oh, sure.
Because a lot of people are intimidated by the AI, by the technology, I know there's a learning curve that the masses are going to experience to kind of get in the comfort zone. What would be your advice, like an assignment, a task, just like a routine experience? What would be that first one or two experiences a novice would have to get them in a comfort zone with AI technology? What would you subscribe for the average person?
Number one is just don't be scared. I mean, you can ask a question and it'll give you a good answer or a bad answer. It's not like it's a life-threatening thing when you ask a question. So, I think that, where we first started was ChatGPT. It was an easy thing to go and ask a question and get something there. But at the end of the day, when you start to see how powerful that can be, it's incredible what you can do. And it's just how creative you can be. And Dan, what you said, some people, I'll just tell you, people learn fast. I'm just going to use my daughter who's 9. She learns faster using Ruby AI than she does listening to a teacher in front of the room. And it's because she can be interactive with it. And AI is like that 24/7 tutor, right? So she can get in here, she can ask it a question about a book. Well, it's already read that book. It already understands it. So it's explaining the book and why it does that. She's able to understand that so much faster and cleaner there than a teacher sitting there. It makes it faster for her. And
so what would she ask literally? Like what would she ask about the book?
Well, she might just say, give me a summary of the book, right? And then in the summary, she's now looking at all the high points of what it is. And then she can ask about the character. What does this character do? Like, give me the whole, I'm going to use the word persona. She wouldn't use the word persona, but, give me the information about this character. Describe this character. And when you start to see that stuff, it breaks it down where maybe she didn't really get it when she read it. But now she gets to see it and dig a little bit deeper. She learns more. It's a different point of view. One of the things Dan says too is about creativity. And I love this because I actually challenge people on this all the time because they say, well, AI just takes creativity away. Everyone will do the same thing. And that's just not true. It actually makes you more creative. If you're creative at all, then you start to look at things. You're going to start doing like a bunch more stuff because you're just going to start clicking like more things that you can think of that maybe you had never thought of before. All of a sudden you have a new path to go down, and it's now you can be more creative down that path. I think it's a better way, faster way of learning for some people. And I think that it's also a way to really open creativity. It doesn't hinder, it opens the door for creativity.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed, just as an example, I've hired over the years a lot of marketing guys, a lot of script writers, video guys, different things like that. And so many of them would want pretty much a full outline, and then they would just take that and then make it way better. They're really creative people. Yep. And so I was the one that was always writing that out. So I'd write an entire script, and it would take me sometimes, 5, 10, 15, 20 hours, depending on how long that I was like putting it together. I'd usually do it in 1 or 2 days, but I'd really have to focus, put everything else away and do it. Then I would send that to them, and then they would do it. Almost no like video guys will just like go from zero and write your script. Yeah. Because they don't really know exactly what they don't know much about your company. They may not even hardly know about the product that they're doing a video for. Yeah. So they want a ton of information, and then some of them make it better. But now with AI, I literally wish I had it years ago, because I could get that outline done probably no more than 15 minutes instead of 15 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I get it to that creative person, and they make it better. Yeah. But even if I just went as is, it's probably pretty good. Does that make sense? And
yeah, it does. And I just think that one of the things that we've been able to see over the last 3 or 4 months with Ruby going to market is just thousands of people using it, and the stories of what come in from the way that they do their everyday life, like how they do their emails and how they do their communications and how they're talking to even their kids. They're coming up with ideas. They have their kids and they're stuck at home for the fall break. Ruby's giving them ideas, to go out and do things that they hadn't thought of. And then you get to some of these are business oriented, and it absolutely changes the way. I'll give you a good example. One of our brand influencers actually runs 4 or 5 different UFC training gyms, and he has to go through and what he was doing was writing out what they do for each of the other dojos that are in senseis and all the people that were coming in to do all these things. And he would take time, so much time for him to get everything set up. And now he literally uses this to write all their protocol, and he does it in about 5 seconds, and it's done. And that's the regimen for all of his gyms and all that he's doing right now. And it's completely changed the way he runs his business. That's a significant change in time, because now he's got days to go and do things that really matter. And I think that's, where else can you buy time? I can't think of any other place you go and buy that kind of time.
Yeah, I love that concept. I was doing a video yesterday. So I just did a little bit of research, and I couldn't get like an exact answer because they're all a little bit different of how many students are there in the world, high school and college combined. And they're somewhere around 700 million to close to 1 billion, just kind of estimated students, high school and above. But if you just really think about that, the ability to have a tutor in every single subject, and you have 1 billion people that could be helped by it. I mean, it's just a massive, massive market. So it's exciting times. But let's go ahead and jump into this uncommon movement, and one of the things that we really focus on. And I'm a big believer. I haven't always been the best example, but I'm trying a bit harder right now with health and fitness. What do you think, Robert, about health and fitness? Obviously, you played tennis as you was growing up, and I've had some discussions over the couple of years. You've done some stuff with like the keto diet and lost weight and got in shape there. But what do you think the importance, as you're, we all get older every single year, and things seem to not be quite as easy. But do you think much about nutrition and fitness, or what play do you think that does, even just for you, for business, for quality of life, etc.?
Gosh, it's funny you asked that, because today, all day with my wife, we were sitting here discussing this, and I don't know if you guys have heard of Gary Brecka and all this thing that he's doing with Dana White. And we just went through this whole thing with Dana White and his transition, and these guys are my exact age. They're 54, and I'm sitting here going, I don't feel as good as I used to. I can't do what I used to be able to do. And I just remember not even that long ago, like 6 years ago, when I was in keto diet, and I was really active, and I felt amazing. But then life comes, and you kind of fall out of it, and then you're getting in, and it's like the time that you need to have the best fitness and the best being in shape and taking care of your body is when you're stressed the most and you're going through the most, and you need to be at your best all the time. And it was just today that I'm like, okay, we're getting back on the train. We're getting back on to doing this again, because I want to feel like that again. And so I think the accountability is always the toughest part, right? And it's like, but you have to have it. And that's what I think I love most about Uncommon, is that word that most people are scared of. But if you can't, can't be scared of the word accountability. That's what makes it all work. At least it makes it work for me. That's what makes me go.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of a never-ending type of a thing, because as soon as you can get into health and fitness as deep as anybody in the world, but if you take your foot off that gas for 6 months to a year, it's
right back.
to go the other way in a hurry.
Yeah.
Robert, do you think, Robert, it was your focus that changed over the years, over the last 6 years, or your will? I mean, would you count it to, which one of those would you say that made the biggest, change?
Well, I think that in my case, where I was really in my best shape, like the best shape I've probably been in my entire life, was when I was 48 years old, 49 years old. That's where I felt the best I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
I had gone full keto for over a year. But I was playing tennis 2 hours every day, and I just had this routine. Like the routine was so perfect. Like I just had it down like every day. And then the guy I played tennis with every single day, he moved, and I lost that piece. And then I lost another, the other piece of having the freedom to go and do everything I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And it's like, eventually it just kind of wears down, and you just fall back into this easy everyday life that you just kind of coast. And it's hard to stay focused. So for me, it was the accountability of having my friend that was there to play tennis with every single day. That was something that was the accountability piece for me. But it was also just about, I felt amazing and I didn't want it to stop. Like that was driving it. But when you do take your foot off the gas and you look over your shoulder for just a second, pretty soon you're just sliding back into the way that your habits were before. And that's, I think, Uncommon really brings that accountability in. And I can't wait to see what that's going to do for people, because I think that's just a big key.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you feel, Robert? Like, how long did it take you to get into the best shape of your life, and how long did it take to kind of get out of it?
Yeah. So it took me about, to jump into keto, it took me 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks of being committed just to do it every single day and not think about it. The third week, I caught myself thinking about it maybe once in a while. But after that third week, I never thought about it again. I was just feeling amazing. And I ate what I ate. And the things that I didn't want, that I used to love to eat that were bad for me, I didn't even crave them. I didn't want them. I didn't care about them. I didn't look at them. I just, my kids would be sitting there having cookies and I could care less. Like, I didn't want them.
Yeah.
And so it's about 3 weeks for me to get in. And then to get out of it, in 2017, I started traveling a whole lot. I think I went around the world 3 times. And that was really hard to stay on a good diet. So that started to do it. And I would say it took me about 2 years from that point. So by 2019 or so, and then the worst thing that probably could have ever happened to me was put me into a room and make me stay there in the pandemic. I'm going to eat. So that was probably a bad run right there, the 3 years. But there's just no excuse at this point. I should have been doing this a long time ago. I wish I would have. And I think, but once people find when they're in the zone, they just feel like everything's just working, that they'll want to go back to it at some point. So that is for me.
I've been like studying a lot on this subject of, different things. And that's one of the things that's so awesome with AI, but like long-term fasting and, 1 meal a day and, a lot of different things. I followed Gary Breck a lot. Right down stairs in the conference room, I have one of those hydrogen water bottle things that I bought from watching him and them talk about it. So big fan of the information that they put out there in the fast. I did I don't remember what it was. One of the ones that Dana did, it was a 7-day fast.
Wow. Was it the water fast? Is that what it was?
It has a program. So it has some drinks that you drink the first couple days. And then some of it's just water. And then they have these little tablets that kind of looks like fish food, but it's like a fast that they talk about all the time. That's like 7 days. And so I've been, big into that, but I think one of the things that's interesting, and I think the good news is it typically doesn't take nearly as long to get into shape as it does to get out. With, if somebody, let's say they gain 100 pounds, they typically don't do that overnight, even though it seems like it. But I've seen so much of these examples and watching TikTok and all of those of people literally losing up to 100 pounds in 6 months of focus and really pushing. So it is something that a little bit of focus and get that first, those wins. Mm-hmm. I think business is almost,
it's the same, right?
Like the perfect, similarity of doing good in business. It's the same thing as getting in shape and maintaining your weight and stuff like that, because it's just compounding these wins, staying consistent, having patience, and really changing the mindset to it's just what I'm doing, almost taking the results out of the equation. Because sometimes when things are going a little bit slower and you get that mind thinking that, man, why am I even doing this? And it's like, well, I'm doing this because this is what I do now, And I had to do that with business. And for whatever reason, maybe because, you have bills coming every single month and you can't kind of take your foot off the gas as easy in business as you can on health and fitness. But I've been able to be way more consistent doing things that I don't really like to do in business, more so than I have in the health and nutrition. But I think that they're both so vital. And as people get older, I had a business partner years ago, and one of the things he said is, the best way to stay in shape is to never get too far out of shape.
Right.
And I think that's one of the
Good point.
yeah, I think that's one of the key components there. But let's jump on and talk a little bit about income, and specifically what we're really trying to educate people on is residual income.
Yeah.
So there's people that make a tremendous amount of money with what we'd call linear income, like some attorneys are
Right.
charging $700, $800, $900, $1,000 an hour. Surgeons, some of these people are making a lot of money, but their stress levels are super high. If they're not working, they're not getting paid, and so there's a massive difference between linear income and residual. Like I would much rather have, let's say, like 10 or 15,000 a month residual than maybe even like 40 or 50,000 a month that I had to work a super stressful job and didn't have any control of my time and stuff like that. So when was it that you first started thinking or realized that there's a difference in types of income, from passive income, residual income, linear income, those types of things? And what made you make the transition a little bit to focus a little bit more on the residual income as opposed to some of the successful businesses and things like that you started with, marketing agencies and things like that can make good money, but you're kind of only as good as your last client, and then you have to find new ones and things like that.
So in 1995, I opened up my first business. So I would have been 25. It was a video production company, and man, we had all the dreams of doing that residual income. Because one of the things that I noticed, just growing up, I saw my dad. My dad was always doing something, on the side, but it always was about requiring somebody to be there to make a sale. Like he was selling a car, selling a gun, doing whatever it is, always a sale. And he was always involved in it, or someone else had to be involved in it. But then when I got into the news business, because that's how I was in news as a news photographer, and it was the same rat race there every single day. It's like whatever I did last year at Thanksgiving, I'm going to end up doing again this year at Thanksgiving. And so I got tired of that really fast, and started my own production company and said I'm going to do this on my own. And I thought at that point I was going to get freedom. Little did I know, I just created a bigger job and task for me, because now I had to run everything and I was responsible for everything at the very end, and it required a lot more hours. But then I found that you could have residual income when you created television programming, and I could resell the programming. And so that's all we focused on. We focused on doing like the PBR events and things that we could take, package, and put them out into distribution. And it was a kind of like you, Dan, with the sports. That's a very competitive world when we were trying to play in it. And I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm not in LA. I'm not in these big places where you can go and get that. And it just became a big thing. That was just a challenge to really do that. And I just knew, though, that was what I wanted. I wanted to find something that was going to pay over and over and over again. And then I got into network marketing for the very first time. We got in a company called Monavie that in my hometown, we had, gosh, I don't know, 20 or 30 people making, $20,000 a week or more. And it was one of those things where I didn't ever believe that it could work. But when you got in it and you realized how you can build this model, and it was truly residual income. Like I literally could just not go to work and it would be there. It was like, is this even right? Like, is this possible? Like, why have I been doing and I'll tell you what finally broke the string. So my wife actually got us into Monavie. I didn't even want her to do it. She didn't. I gave her 5 days or 6 days to go out and see if she could find someone that would want to do it with her. And she did. And she started making like $1,000 a month. And then pretty soon, I'm like, I can't not let her do this now. And so at that point in time, I'm running actually a ton of the rodeo stuff. And what would happen, and this had happened for 5 years in a row, is that my kids would get out of school. My in-laws had a place in Minnesota, so it would get hot in Oklahoma, and they would go up to Minnesota, and my wife and my kids would all go to Minnesota all summer. And every weekend I was at a different rodeo doing the rodeo production. And after 5 years of doing that, not seeing my kids, not being a part of the summer, and she started making some money at Monavie, I was done. I'm like, whatever it takes to make this work, because this is a better job. This is a better model than what I'm doing. And we started focusing on that, and that changed my life. And I'll tell you what changed my life more than that was we brought other people to get that freedom that we were able to get. And that's the feeling that never lets me go, because when you can help someone else achieve freedom, it doesn't matter if you did it or not. If you help someone get there, that meant more to me than anything. And that's really why I can't ever leave this space. It's like, I know this space is doing it for someone. It may not do it for everyone, but it's going to do it for someone. And that someone's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Robert, let me ask you a quick question, if I can. Two super quick questions. What would you say to someone who feels that network marketing, they use terms like pyramid schemes and, is this legal and things like that? From your experiences, first, what would you say to those folks out there that might be listening to this podcast and, not sure about the network marketing industry?
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of checks to make that work, right? One, do you have a product? And does that product, purchased by customers? And if they do that, then you're not worried about anything else. It's no different than any other business that you're in at that point. So if they have a real product and people are buying that product and using the product, and then it's a legal business model. And actually, it's the best business model you'll ever find. I mean, think about just like when we got into Montevi. I couldn't go out and create a product like that. I didn't have the money to go and make all the bottling and shipping. And I mean, for me to be able to go and make kind of money that we made in that business for $100 and some to get in and get going, that's just, you can't fight that business model. Everybody wants to try it. And what I found is that the people who want to go down that path, if you have a legitimate product and your company is legit and it's really a strong, customer base type of company, the people who are saying that are people who are scared to try it. They're scared that someone might be successful because they are stuck in a job that they don't have this freedom. And so they're just afraid of your success, afraid of other people's success, and they're getting left behind. That's just kind of what I found, that at least that's the way I perceived it. And that's the way I've thought about it, because honestly, anybody who has any kind of business skills whatsoever will look at this model and say, how can you not say that this is the most efficient business model that's ever been created?
Yeah, like it's definitely the greatest way to move a product or a service, right?
Yeah, sure.
And Dan kicked off the question about financial literacy, residual income, right? All these different ways to earn income. When it comes to your children, do you let them learn, you're too old-ish, you still have one young one in the house, like by watching you? Or have you actually like sat down with them and talked about the different ways to earn income? Like, did you have those financial literacy conversation with your children?
So, I mean, I don't think every one of my kids, just probably like every one of your kids, they're all different, right? So like my oldest is super, super safe. And I mean, she has to have it perfect, like guaranteed, or she's not going to do it. That's her personality. I don't see her as probably the strongest entrepreneur out there, looking for a safe place. However, my son, who's now 21, my daughter, who's now at Ole Miss, she's a freshman there, very entrepreneurial. They are both out there doing things. They're building their own businesses. They're doing side hustles. They're doing all that. And I think I don't necessarily say that was just a conversation. It was a lifestyle that we lived. We live this every day, and they're a part of it. I mean, I'm home every single day, and I have been since, I don't know, 2003, 2004. So, I mean, they had no choice but to see and to be a part of everything that we were doing. And I think that's why, they're there. If it's in their spirit, then they've got it.
And they know you're home because you have the benefit of residual income.
Exactly. And they've been a part of our business. We included them in our business. When we were doing, a meeting or whatever else, they would be there. They would be part of that. They liked it. They wanted to be a part of it. And of course, we always, back in the day, we were always building, at our house. So people would come to our house and they'd bring their kids and they would meet new kids. I mean, we've just always enjoyed the industry because of the people in it and the way that you can build it with the people. and our family became bigger families. Is all it is, you know, we have lifelong friends that we met, you know, our first week in Montevideo, and the kids are friends. So it's interesting how this industry works. But in general, as an entrepreneur, I haven't really had to have that conversation with them. I will tell you, it's nice that when your kids come up and ask you a question, because they're seeing what they're doing. And I think because they're seeing it and they're wanting it, and I'll give you a good example. So my daughter, who's the freshman, she's just now turned 19. You know, I guess she was a junior in high school when she started her spray tanning business. And I mean, and it was just great to see her go through that process, because not only is she learning the entrepreneurial spirit about being in business, but the financial part, learning about the costs and learning about how much things and the value of a dollar and how this all works. And I mean, it's just great to see that happen early. I can tell you, I don't feel like we're getting it in our schools. We're not going to get it there. It has to come from people who are looking at an interest in our kids. And that's something that I think that your movement is going to be a big thing. I can tell you, I wish I would have known everything that I learned, you know, over 20 years of being in business and getting beat up and making mistakes. I wish someone would have sat down. I wish my dad would have sat down and gone through that with me, or at least somewhere I had a resource to go and learn something, because it cost me millions of dollars on those mistakes that I know I would have probably avoided if I would have had that financial literacy that you guys are offering.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's really one of the things that I'm super passionate about, Robert, is getting down there. I both of my kids are grown and graduated from college and stuff like that, but still difficult times to really figure out exactly what you want to do and things like that. And I couldn't imagine like a 9-year-old right now. I mean, what's going to be relevant in 9 years? You really don't know.
You don't know.
And so we're just like, hey, one of the things I love that you were talking about earlier about going all the way back to your dad is figuring out a way to make money with your passion. And that's one of the things that kids are doing right now.
Yeah.
There's you know, teenage girls that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars, just putting their makeup on every morning,
Exactly.
or after school or something like that, and videoing it or doing dances or things like that. And there's, you know, males making money doing all kinds of, you know, just the stuff that kids do, whether it's pranking people or doing this or doing that. But it is kind of cool to see people having the ability to go really make money with their passion without having to go deep into their pockets and things like that. And that's one of the things that this new world of social media and this worldwide marketplace has brought to the table that's never been there. But we really think that with that, it kind of is a time that you can kind of feel like lost also. And I think that's why one of the things that I think is one of the worst statistics is the suicide rate. I mean, the number one death in kids under 25 is suicide.
Yeah.
And so my main thing is just to be like, man, because I could see it's like, oh, well, yeah, he can do it because he's a great singer, or he can do it, he's a great this, or he can do it because of this. But I'm just a normal person. And so my passion is to say, no, you are not a normal person. You are incredible.
Yeah.
The things that you can do are unbelievable if you just understand who you are, what you're capable of. Yeah. But it doesn't matter if you understand who you are. Doesn't matter, you know, what you're capable of. All this stuff comes through opportunity. Yeah. I mean, you can't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden, oh, all this money's coming in and I have all this opportunity. So my main vision has been to really, let them know as a human being what we're capable of, who we are.
Yeah.
And we're the ones that make the decisions. These bullies, these people that call us names and this, they don't make any decisions for us. We have to give them power over us to make decisions and things like that. But that literally is a choice. Yeah. And so I just want to go out there and say, hey, here's the bottom line. We want to provide an opportunity through mentorship, through exact systems that are proven, and then take the greatest AI technology to fill in all the gaps, to improve the things that I've done to do billions of dollars in sales over the last 20 years, and to improve the systems and things like that out there. And that's really what the goal is. So 2 main goals Robert, I looked at what does it take to get in the top 1% for health and fitness. And if you're looking at body fat and stuff like that, it's around 20% body fat puts you in the top 1%. And then we go into income wise, and we just kind of picked a number around 100. It's less than this worldwide, and it's a little bit more than this in the United States. Worldwide, top 1% incomes is around $37,000 a year. In the United States, it's closer to 150 to 200,000 to get up into the top 1%. But that's just income.
Right.
When you're talking about residual income, we have that goal to get people to at least a 6-figure residual income, which is significantly different than a 6-figure income working for somebody 40, 60, 80 hours a week. And then our plan is these next two things we're going to go over much faster is how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And that's personal development and then accountability. And so personal development, just really quick, a couple minutes on the subject. Any mentors, books, something that you feel changed your life that you would recommend to somebody that's looking to start a business or something like that? Favorite book, favorite mentors, YouTube channels to watch, people to follow?
For mentors, I think you have different ones for different parts of your life, right? So different areas of things that you look at. But for me, and just trying to be a better person, I follow a guy named Craig Rochelle, who's our pastor at our church at Life Church. He's got an incredible leadership podcast that is just amazing. And that's one of them. But one of the things have always done is I've always gone and looked at where can you go get inspiration? Like for me, it's about inspiration. Like I need that more than anything else in the morning. So I'm looking pouring into me. And so I'll go and I'll look for, the Jim Rohns and all the stuff that have been out there. It's just funny that a guy that I never met was good friends with a guy I was really good friends with in Jim Rohn. And it's like when you sit down and you find out what he was saying back in the 40s, 50s, 60s is the same as you need today. It's just about, applying it into your life, and it's the same. So he would be one that I would say. I think there's I think these podcasts today, if you want to know something, you find someone, you can go find anything on the podcast every day. And my wife is really good at it. She's got like 1,000 of them going on every time. But this is like Gary Brecka. We follow Joe Rogan. I love his podcast. Like I can get into just about anything he says every day. It's like, those guys give me such a diverse thing, but you leave in the fact that I can be better. And those are the kind of things I look at to be pouring into me. And there's obviously people out there that have done things for like business and things that would be good for, for my health, all those would be people that we'd find that we would be part of our, my dad was a big mentor and in business, just being able to understand how to deal with people. That's a huge thing, by the way.
For sure.
I see a lot of things in today's world with kids that they don't get a chance to really know how to talk to people. They're not social. Like they can be on social media all day long, but they never have a chance to go and talk. They never have to go and talk to strangers. They don't have the ability to go and make a sale. They don't know how to do these conversations. And I learned that when I was 9. I was literally walking people out and unlocking used cars at 9 and saying, "Hey, I don't know anything about this car, but my dad said it does this." And it's like that's what even my kids are having a hard time finding that skill set. And so there's a lot of places like that I got that I don't even know where to give those to our kids. But I'd say my dad was a big mentor. My mom was a big mentor on that too. She was very good at keeping us in.
Robert, what do you do, if anything? I have some friends one friend in particular, I'm not going to mention any names, but probably the smartest human being that I know that knows he basically is AI before AI. I would put him up against Ruby. You know what I mean? I might ask him before I ask Ruby and think of it. But there's a big difference between knowledge and applying that all. And sometimes I think that there becomes people for personal development because of the inspiration and stuff like that. But has there been anything that you've done in particular to not just get this knowledge, but actually apply it and put it into action, or anything that you could recommend for people? Because I see a lot of times people read all these great books. I was talking to some people that just read Atomic Habits, and we were doing a book club earlier in the year, and we read that one as a group in November. And I'm like, yeah, but you like the book, but have you put it all into action? What is it doing for you? Are you creating wins and habit after habit and growing those? Or what do you kind of get what I'm saying? Is what do you do from taking this knowledge to actually improving your life and making it into an action step?
Yeah. So the perfect example of that would have been in 2015, when I decided, hey, I'm going to get my life in order. And at that point in time, I said I was changing the way I was going to eat. I was going to change my lifestyle. And I was, I'm not the tallest guy. I'm like 5'11" maybe, but, I was as heavy as I've ever been, at like 235, somewhere in there, in 2015. And, within, I don't know, I would say 5 weeks, 6 weeks, I was down at 200, and it was incredible because I was able to follow what they were doing out in there. So I would read about the keto diet. I'd figure out what I needed to do, and I literally could follow it step by step by step. And then we also had the accountability of going with that. So for me, it was about finding the sources for what I was looking for, and I just would implement that on a daily basis. I really like the things that you're seeing it being implemented in some of your other companies, that you're doing with having a 5-day challenge or a 5-day non-negotiable. I mean, that is just in the fact that you need to have a daily task. And I've always been pretty good at setting micro goals and then setting those into what I call them micro up to macro. But my micro goal is what am I going to do in the next 24 hours? And then what am I going to do for that week? And then what I'm going to do for the quarter. And so that's kind of the way I always set my goals. And probably the one bad thing about me is I have a hard time getting past the micro, and the weekly goals are fine. I can keep those. But when I want to go back and look at my quarterly goals, by that time I'm in there, I've got 75 million other things that I've already gone down, and I don't go back and check myself. And so that would be one thing I wish I would do more of. But I think that those micro goals, those weekly goals, those are huge to keeping people on track. And I wish people had more of that in their life.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's one of the most important things to me, and get the information, work out a daily plan. And I think that's one of the best things that people could actually use AI for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, like, okay, just read Atomic Habits. I love the book. I love the concept. Ruby, help me put down a daily plan of action built all around the principles of Atomic Habits, or the principles around Think and Grow Rich, or the principles around, outwitting the devil, or whatever the book is. And now all of a sudden you can put it into action, because all this knowledge and all this inspiration and motivation and stuff like that, success is an action business. It doesn't matter like what you're thinking in your mind. I mean, it matters 100% what you're thinking in your mind, but only if you put it into action.
Right.
And really quick, we're running out of time here. We usually try and keep it around an hour. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer. We don't have any time limit, but accountability we talked about a little bit. But one of the things that we talk specifically when we're telling, okay, this is what you have to do for Uncommon, we have the exact definition for health and fitness, the exact definition for finance. For the personal development, we go off of somebody that I've grown to like, if nobody is paying attention to him, Jesse Itzler. And what I like about Jesse Itzler is he has his big thing is like planning out your year. And he talks about, he's, around our same age, between, late 40s and mid 50s. And he talks about, he says, if you really think about it, the average age is like 75, maybe 80. So he's like, I maybe have 20, 25 summers left. I maybe have, and let's say that I see my parents every, and let's say that your parents are 70 and they have maybe, 5, 10, 15 years and you see them twice a year. Like I maybe have like 10, 15 more visits with my parents. And so he kind of breaks this stuff down and how you can do these, but he also talks about the, I think he calls it like the law of 100. And it talks about if you put 100 hours of focused effort into something, it'll move you up into like the top 5% of that. And he breaks that down to 100 hours is around 18 minutes a day, something like that. And so just like focusing for 18 minutes a day, here's the nice thing. In 18 minutes a day, you can outline an entire book with Ruby. And I could get all the information on Atomic Habits in that 18 minutes and, Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil and all these great Napoleon Hill books and all these other things. Yeah. Or I could focus on learning a language, or I could focus on, becoming a better pickleball player, or I could focus on becoming a better, pool player, or whatever it is, whether it's something or meditating or becoming more spiritual and focusing on scripture study, or all of these different things. But 18 minutes a day, the accountability is basically putting yourself as part of an accountability group, whether that's WhatsApp, whether that's a text group, whether that's something, and communicate with these people every single day, focused on, let them know what your goals are, what's your income goals, and exactly what are you doing to reach those, what's your health and fitness goals, and exactly what are you doing, what's your personal development, what are you doing, and then just respond back daily, and then get a group that's not afraid to call you out. Like, Robert, what's going on? You said that, today is no longer one day that you're going to, get back on track and get in shape. You and your wife decided that today's day one. So, you haven't reported to the accountability group in 3 days. You know what I mean? So you have to have somebody that will actually hold you accountable. Can't just be like a big fan of Robert, just like, let's do this accountability group. It's got to be somebody that isn't going to take offense if you hold him accountable, and he's going to hold you accountable. So that's kind of what we've put together. But anything that you can think of that's worked for you, besides just self-accountability, because a lot of times self-accountability is not enough to really achieve what you're going. You had the accountability, just like if you go to the gym with somebody, there's a lot better chance that you're going to show up if he's there. If you're going to go play tennis and we play at 7 a.m. every morning, and you already know he's going to be there, and you're a little sick, you're a little tired, but he's probably already out of bed and on his way, you're going to show up. So what's your opinion on accountability and anything that you've done in your life that's helped you, remain more accountable?
Yeah. So that's definitely one of them, having a partner that's part of your life. Like they are living life with you. And that's kind of the way that I think that accountability works best. My wife is an accountability partner as well, and I can be for her. But to look at like those aspects of your business, whether it be health, I need to have someone accountable to that. And that would be someone that is not going to be afraid to say, hey, you're falling off the wagon here. You need to get back in and back on this thing. I don't need the yes man to sit there and tell me that, right? I can do that myself. I don't need to have anybody else do that. So sorry, my daughter just walked back in. But I tell you, for business, it's all about just staying in touch with somebody that you're building it with. Like, I have never been one that is a great go build my business by myself. I've always had partners, and I do better with partners because there's accountability. And some people don't need that. And I say that they don't necessarily have it in a partnership. They have them outside their business so they can.
Yeah.
I never had that, so I always look for a partner to have it because I do better in that position. As far as losing weight, and what drove me a lot right off the bat was that I was in a business of losing weight, right? So we were talking about keto, and the company was Prove It. I had to be in front of the crowd, and if I was not losing weight, this isn't going to work. There's a pretty accountability for you. So I think you find the accountabilities when wherever they are, if they work for you, then they're good for you. And I think I just think that people today are so scared of that word because no one wants to be held accountable today. And I think they think this word being a negative word, and what they really should do is say, that's the word of life. That's the word of life right there. As you can be accountable, then you can achieve it.
When it sounds like, just from some of the examples that you've given us through here, that you've shown that you've been more successful when you had somebody holding you accountable than when you just have yourself holding you accountable. And I'm the same way. I've had a lot of discussions with Clavon, and we've kind of said the same thing. And so really the last thing, and as far as I'm concerned, maybe the most important, or one of the most important, that Clavon mentioned earlier, and that's just giving back. And so you mentioned a little bit about Selfless, and here's one of the things that we talked a little bit about. When so often when people talk about trafficking, they're all thinking about sex trafficking.
Yeah.
But it's really so much bigger than that. With human trafficking and people, responding to a job offer that, maybe they live in the Eastern Bloc, former Soviet Union, and they go into Europe to, work on a farm, and they think there's this opportunity. And as soon as they get there, they take their passport, and they basically just have modern day slave labor. And this is a massive thing with the sexual traffic, with everything else. This whole issue is just very disturbing and almost hard to believe that it exists in the manner that it exists.
Yeah.
But including that, and talking a little bit about Selfless, you can talk as much about it as you want. What are your other feelings? Because obviously you were probably into giving back or doing something before you really got into the human trafficking side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I always had this thought. Now I've done it forever. Is when you have your issues, if you put your focus on someone else's issues to help them, yours just kind of takes care of itself too. It's kind of like, I can help you, and then all of a sudden mine just kind of start to work as well. And so I've always had this philosophy that I just focus on other people. And that's kind of how I built my businesses. That's how I've done everything. But I've never been shaken to my core like I have with Selfless. Like, I mean, I have never seen evil like the evil I saw in 2018, when you see what people can do to people. And so for me, that just sucked me in so much. I just can't.
So what happened, Robert? It was a personal experience. It was a movie, a video, or a podcast, or what was that just opened your eyes to, man, something's got to change?
Yeah. So a partner in Dallas and I were starting a skincare line, and we were looking for a charity that we could wrap it around. We were wanting to do something that was giving back. We wanted to make sure that it was around something that people could do. I still believe in it, and it's all about a social entrepreneurship platform for me. I believe that's the way you solve any problem today in the world. Giving just doesn't work. And so through consumption, people always consume, and they solve the problem. So that was, and Peter Hirsch was a good friend of mine. And he led this whole course on social entrepreneurship for years. And I just bought into that early. And so in 2018, we started a skincare line, and it was called Selfless. And we went down to Dallas, and I met with United Heroes, and they go and they take the kids in, and they rehabilitate them. And they, doesn't matter what age they are, they take them in. And then at the end of their graduation of college, they guarantee them all the way through college if they want to go. You just heard these stories, and you saw these kids, and ones that we had just gotten to Dallas with Karen, and we went to meet these people at Unlikely Heroes, and they had 5 kids that had just been picked up, ages 2 to 5.
Wow.
And you have never just seen it. Just rocks you to your core to think that there's that kind of evil in the world, that they would do this to kids. I mean, it's like,
wow,
there's no,
that's almost 2 to 5 is almost, just not,
It just changes everything, and you can't unsee it and you can't undo it. And it just, and we left there in 2018, said, we're going to do this. We're going to start about this. And then in 2022, we actually started putting the Web3 ecosystem together so that it could have sustainable giving, and it could be completely transparent. And we did a lot of research between that time, looking at the things that we would have to do to solve the problem with human trafficking. Because you're right, it's only 30% of human trafficking is sex trafficking. The other 70% is labor, and it depends on what part of the world you're in. If you go into Europe, then it's going to be labor mainly, but if you come to the United States, it's going to be sex trafficking. And so you just see this, and it just rushes through. Of course, we got in, we started to interview people like the Tim Tebow Foundation, Unlikely Heroes, the Deliver Fund, Unitas out of New York. I mean, we started meeting all these people and found out we're going to do something incredible. When we get a community together, we're going to do something incredible and change the world. And that's what just drives me. You can hear it in my voice. I'm passionate. Like, this is what drives me and gets me going, because of that one thing that I saw. But that's this one. Like, that's what's driven Selfless. But I've always done that. I'll tell you what. All of our kids, before they can go get a car, they have to give a car. We implemented that with our kids.
Oh, wow.
And so, my Sally is my 19-year-old, she had to go and find a person who needed the car, and then we gave them money and they could go get the car. And it changed so much about her and who she gets to see, like, what she can help somebody. She can be part of that, and it changes everything. I mean, so we've implemented that in our family, just from kind of the very beginning. But for Selfless, it was truly just, every once in a while, I think people will find something that they're just called to do, and you feel it at that very minute. And that was the instance for me.
Wow, that's powerful. Clavon, anything come to your mind for closing this uncommon call out?
I'll tell you, I mean, you can just feel, Robert, you can feel it, feel his heart, through listening to him talk about giving back. And hey, Robert, if there's anybody listening to this podcast now or, in the future, as it's going to be, archived and available forever, and maybe they want to put their foot in the game, or they want to jump fully in the game of support for human trafficking. Maybe you're one of the leaders throughout the country, is there any social media outlets that you can get it be accessible on, or is there any websites people can tap into to join some communities? What can you lay down for people that want to do a little bit more and get some more insight?
Yeah. So all of our social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is all on We Are Selfless. Selfless is SELFLES, just one S. It's a palindrome, and that's important to know, because when we created the brand Selfless, it was done that way. So no matter where you look, forwards or backwards, it's the same. And we have a saying that it starts with the person in the mirror. And so when you look in the mirror, you see Selfless spelled both ways. So we are selfless.com, and we are Selfless on all the social media. And we would love to just get in there and be part of the community, because that community is what's going to make a change in the world.
All right, awesome. Well, Dave, I'll say this before I give it back to you, buddy. As we close out, guys, just remember this uncommon movement. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, please subscribe to the channel, guys. It's a family. It's a community. Like the broadcast. Leave comments. If you're watching this on our Facebook outlets, our Facebook group, again, man, leave comments and share the broadcast to your network. Information is power. We promise you, man, every week we're going to bring uncommon gentlemen to the line to inspire and lay it down. I'm really proud to be a part of this, guys. And if you came on later, the whole thing about the uncommon movement, right, for males 16 and above, is just to be an example of what health and wellness and fitness should be like as we all go to fight to get into the top 1%. understanding financial literacy on a high level, residual income, personal growth and development. You got mentors. I think it's just awesome when you wrap all this around accountability and this idea of getting rich and giving back. And at the end of the day, we're going to monetize AI technology as the business platform, giving you an opportunity to make the changes and to be a part of something special. And so, Robert, you really represented tonight. And Dan, I mean, as the mastermind of the Uncommon movement, it's just really exciting to see how this thing is growing. And I'll tell you, it's exciting, man. So it's awesome. So back to you, Dan, close us out.
Perfect, man. And a lot of exciting things going on. We have the Supercross team all out. We're in Anaheim 2 weeks ago, San Francisco last weekend, San Diego this weekend, Monster Trucks in Anaheim this week. Just a lot of things going all over, and we're just barely getting this thing started to get this kicked off this year. So, Robert, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much, especially short notice. Just great to hear a little bit more about your story and leave all these clues for everybody. I learned a lot. I love the fact of just finding something you're interested in and turning that into a business. I like just the examples of accountability, making decisions. Even to this day, I'm the same way. I've done fairly well in the business world, and then in other areas, I look at myself and I'm like, man, you know better. How in the world are you not more focused on that? Especially, your health is something that can't make any excuses. It's 100%, you're the only one in control. You can't say that somebody did this or somebody did that. I mean, genetics, that's a different subject, but I did a lot of studying with epigenetics, and they've proven that it's a fact that the thoughts that you put into your mind, so the food that you put into your mind, the food that you put into your body, your fitness efforts is much more of a determining factor than what you're born with. Yeah. So anyways, I'm super passionate about this mission to leave as many clues as we possibly can. I think Robert left some great ones. So again, thank you so much. Robert, any closing remarks before we sign off here?
No, man, I'm just super excited for you guys and what you're going to do at Uncommon. I think you guys are going to make a big difference in a lot of kids' lives and a lot of men's lives. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Clayvon, go ahead and sign us off.
Hey, man, it's a wrap, man. Episode 9. We came, we saw, we conquered. It was awesome. And we will see you guys again next Monday. We're going to do it again and again and again. All right, champions, we're out of here.
See ya.